Hey now, Rob here, Rob School of Music, and I am psyched because this guitarist is going to change your life. She shreds with a capital S. Welcome, Constance, to the show.
Guys,
Awesome.
super stoked to be here right now.
Thank you so much for hanging. Like, I watch your videos and you melt faces and you just look like a rock star, and you have tremendous gigs with Till from Rammstein and Demi Lovato and I'm sure 100 other things. So before we start, I guess the coolest way to introduce someone is to ask, how did you get started? What was the first thing that you saw? Was it an album? Was it a show? Was it something on TV and you're like, that's what I want to do?
My first dive into music, I was 4. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I started playing piano at 4, and then I also started playing violin at 4 as well. And I started playing violin at 4 because my brother was playing as well, and he's older. And I was like, I can do it because he can do it, and I could do it better because he's doing it. And so I was like, I know it's not the best way to look at it, but I was a little competitive, and I was like, I really, really want to play violin because he can do it and I can do it better. So I started violin, and it just wasn't for me, but I did okay at it. And I continued then with piano, moved to bass and guitar. I started guitar at 11, and as soon as I touched the instrument, I was like, this is my instrument. Like as soon as I touched the guitar, I was like, this is what I want to do forever. And I think Enter Sandman was the first. I know it sounds so cheesy. Enter Sandman was the first metal song I'd ever like listened to like front to back. And I was like, okay, I really like this. This is I kind of really like bond with this. And when I started playing guitar, I was like, I want to play Metallica. And I started playing a lot of Metallica. And that basically just inspired me to want to play solos and leads and little guitar harmonies because of Master Puppets and all that stuff. And then I started getting more and more into music and more into metal. And that kind of just inspired me, mostly James Hetfield kind of inspired me to want to be like a singer and guitar player.
I love that answer because I've asked that question to so many people and everyone has a different gateway drug. And some it was like my dad took me to a jazz show or Kiss or Zeppelin, but like Metallica is what did it for me too. I swear to God, you're the first person to say that. And thank you for validating me because yes.
I feel like Metallica is just one of those bands where it just takes you on a journey. And especially, being like a young teenager, as like hearing that, there's just the power in it. Oh, I was like, I want to be on stage. I want to do that. Yes. I want to be a metalhead.
Yes. Awesome. Yes. So I want to dissect that in a lot of different ways. What was your first guitar?
My first guitar, don't tell anyone, was a Fender Strat, and complete opposite of metal. But my dad knew a tiny bit about guitars, but not much. He doesn't play or anything. And when I was like, I want to play guitar, lo and behold, my brother also wanted to play guitar. And we actually shared that Fender Strat for a while. And my dad was like, I'm going to get a guitar that if you guys don't like it, I can return it later and like make money for it. You know what I mean? So he was like, I'm going to get you a Fender Strat because I know I can make my investment back in case your kid's about this. And then I ended up loving it. And I don't even have the guitar anymore. My brother has it.
Oh, wow. At least it's still in your family. My first guitar was ironically a Strat also, but it was an Epiphone Strat style guitar. And I remember going to the store with my dad and I picked that out because it had the Explorer sort of banana headstock. And I was like, well, that's almost like James's guitar. It's not quite, but it's as close as I was getting that day at the local music store. But I got rid of that. So that's cool that you still have that within the family. That's
yeah. And speaking of Explorers, I'm like looking around. I got 2 within eyesight right over here because of James Hetfield.
Of course. Very cool. So, all right. So you're playing guitar, you have the Strat, you're into it, you're a metalhead. How long before you put together a band? And when you put together a band, were you singing and playing? Were you like legit the James singer rhythm, person, or were you ripping leads?
I was then in a band with my brother as well. So we're very close. Even though I'm competitive, we're very, very close. And when I was about 14, we decided to put together a band. And we did kind of like a band through like a music school, and they were helping us put one together. And then eventually we just kind of branched out after a few months because we were like, we can book our own gigs, we can do our own thing. So yeah, at 14, my brother and I were just gigging all over, and we were traveling all over California and the West Coast playing shows. I sang and played. Him and I both switched off because he also sings, singing lead and playing lead guitar. So, because we couldn't decide who wanted to be the star more. So,
Yeah, that's fair. That's very diplomatic that you had the ability to share.
yeah. And so for me, it was more like, I want to be James Hetfield. I want to sing. I want to play. But I also really want to play solos because I love solos. And as you know, as a guitar player, once we start playing a solo, we don't want to shut up. So,
Exactly. Yeah, there's no turning back. It is a hole with no bottom. You just
exactly. It's like, all right, how long has it been? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
He's still going. Another 32 bars.
Deal with it. Oh, I'm gonna hit the wah pedal now. Here comes another 32. Sorry. All right, that's awesome. That's a cool story because within like my physical school here in New York, like we have a rock band class where we try and guide young musicians into finding their own bands and then eventually encourage them to branch out and do it on their own. Like I think that's a tremendous skill set to have to just understand, especially at an early age, like how to navigate the industry at that level so you're not getting taken advantage of or ripped off or things like that.
Exactly.
How long did it take before people started being like, wow, these guys are good? Like, was it a bunch of crappy little gigs along the way? Like, when did it jump from a hobby to a profession? I guess that's a cleaner way to ask that question.
I basically still played in a band up through until I was in college. So it was like my whole high school years, and a few years into college, with many, many different bass players along the way. I have many different band names along the way. And we played a lot of, you know what it's like to play a gig and there's just your mom and the drunk guy pass out at the bar and you're just like, hey, with the X's on your hands, and you're just like,
Yes.
still giving the same show though, still giving the same show. I'm just hyped to be on stage. And I'm still the same way, honestly. Like it could be 10 people in the room and I'll still be so hyped to play. I'm still gonna go crazy. Like I don't care. As long as that one person over there is like, yeah, then I'm like, yeah, with them. But it wasn't until I got out of college that I started playing bigger gigs, and that band actually disbanded, sadly. But my brother decided, he was like, I'm gonna get a computer science degree instead of being a musician. He's like, I want health insurance, and I was like, that's smart.
Nerd.
Nerd, yeah, exactly. And when I graduated from college, I went to Musicians Institute in Hollywood. I got a degree in guitar. And then I actually shortly after joined a band called the She Demons and was touring with the Misfits. We were opening for them.
Wow. So what was that first tour like getting to something that's, regional, national, like, whoa, this is big time now.
Yeah, that was my first like big tour. I'd only done like West Coast stuff, and like I'd never done, because I'm in Los Angeles, I had never done anything through the whole country before. And that was my first, you know, I guess big tour. We did Canada and the US. And it was definitely like a culture shock almost, like going onto a tour bus. And like, I mean, we had a Winnebago, but close enough, had bunks. And just going from like small clubs to all of a sudden like 10,000 people, 3,000 people, your brain is like, whoa. Like when you stand on stage, you have like this little shock in your head. And the first show was really scary because I only had a week to learn all the songs, and I was freaking out. And I got moved to lead guitarist after I told I was going to be rhythm. And yeah, it was really scary, but it was also this like big moment where I was like, my career is opening up finally, And as I was thinking that at 21, and we all have our ups and downs, oh, I made it. No.
Right.
But it was definitely a big shock for my performing. And I feel like I definitely opened up my performing then too. I feel like I really became my character, if that makes sense.
Oh, again, dude, we're on the same page. This is great because I look at it like a character sometimes too. Like I think I have this book. It's back there somewhere. It's This Book Shreds, and one of the chapters talks about like this rock star armor, where like we form this extended, amplified version of our personality while performing, and that becomes the thing that becomes your thing. And there's some of you in that, or at least for me, there's some of me in that. Like I was just in January, I was out at the NAMM show and I played. My buddy's band was playing on the big Yamaha, that big stage, and like the.
I was there. I wish I'd known. I would have said hi.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I saw Lenny though. So I saw somebody.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, I also saw him there. I only went for one day though. So. That's enough people for me. I like
Yeah.
max out after a certain period of time saying hello to everyone. I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah, I definitely was there shorter periods of time each day. This was the first day. It was Thursday though, but like I jumped up on stage, my buddy's band was playing, and I just was like the feature on one song. And it's weird how like, boom, there it is. It's just you become that thing, which is going to lead into the next question. As you've played on tremendous stages, and we're going to get into that because that just blows my mind. But when you're playing in front of tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people, like where do you put the stage fright? How do you process that? Because for me, like a lot of the people that are in my world are younger kids who are starting out, and playing in front of 10 people is terrifying. When that multiple starts 10xing to something where you can't see the end of the sea of people, like where does your brain go? How do you do that?
Well, in all honesty, if you actually think about it, 10 people is the same as playing in front of 100,000 people. And I actually get less scared playing in front of 100,000 people than I do instead of 10 people, because when I'm playing in a room of 10 people, their odds are greater that I'm going to fuck up and they're going to notice it.
Yes.
And when there's 100,000 people, the odds are greater that they don't know any better. And if I fuck up, they're not going to know. Sorry, can I say that on your
You can say
F-up?
fuck you.
Okay. I don't know.
A house of
And,
art. Yeah.
perfect. That's one of my favorite words. So I use it all the time.
I say
And
worlds, it's all good.
okay, perfect. They'll get it. They hear it at school. It's fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
And honestly, when you see a whole sea of people, when you look at first, when you're thinking, if you psych yourself out before you go on stage, the first time I played in front of around 150,000 people was with Till Lindemann in Mexico. That was the first like big festival I've ever played on the main stage, you know, because you'll play a side stage at a big festival. There's 150,000 people there, but maybe only like 40 people walk by and watch you play, you know. But when you're playing on the main stage, everyone's standing there, everyone's doesn't want to lose their spot, you know. And we went on right before we were co-headlining with Pantera, their first show back for I don't know how long. I know, insane. I had to pinch myself. I know. And in my head, I'm like, don't fuck up, don't fuck up, don't fuck up. And as soon as I walked on stage and I saw the sea of people, it was way less scary because you can't really, you see some faces, but because it's so big, you don't really get to interact with the people the same way. And because of that, you don't really get as scared because you're just not even like registering it as much. As 10 people, you're looking at every single one of them and you know exactly what's going on in their brain. And I hate that. So it's more of the fact of just relaxing yourself and being like, doesn't matter what these people think. I'm the one on stage. I'm the one doing it. And I don't know. I feel like as soon as you go on stage, it kind of just, all the fears you had disappear.
Yeah.
And you have to have confidence that that's going to happen because it will. But beforehand, you might be like,
yeah, no, that's awesome. I completely agree with you. I had an instance yesterday where a bunch of the students here at the school were performing somewhere, and high school age kids. Their singer couldn't come. She had some family thing. So I had a girl from a different band come in and sing with them, a 10-year-old. And she was frightened, obviously, because these are kids much older, and she's a phenomenal singer. But when she got there, I pulled her aside and I said, I want you to, I'm so proud of you. And she goes, why? I didn't do anything. I said, you're here. You showed up. You already did it. Whatever's going to happen next, it doesn't matter. You were brave enough to try, and watch. It's going to click, and the same thing, you're going to get in there and it's going to happen, and it happened. It was very cool.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure once she got off stage was like, oh, that wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't 150,000 people, but yes.
It doesn't matter though, 150,000 people or your grandmother. It really doesn't matter because you're still performing and you're still putting your all into it. And if only one person sees it or 100,000 people see it, you know, the odds are if you mess up and you're only one person in front of you, it's a 50-50 chance they're going to know you messed up.
Right. Yeah.
If 75,000 people heard me mess up, but the other 75,000 didn't, we're good.
Yeah. Absolutely. So then how did you get the Till gig? Like, how did that? Cause that first Rammstein record, I listened to that a billion times growing up.
Oh, so. Amazing. I met Till because I was working in a band called Aesthetic Perfection, which I still play with. And they actually were the opening band on the last Till Lindemann tour I just did. Sadly, I couldn't play with both. It's too much to be able to play with the opener and the main, headliner. But I was playing with that band, and the drummer in that band, his name's Joe Letts. He's really rad. And side note, absolutely love that band. It's my favorite band I've ever played in my life. But anyways, Joe is the MD and the drummer for Till Lindemann, his solo project. And we were playing in the band together, and turns out they needed a keyboard player. And I also play keyboards. And in Aesthetic Perfection, I play guitar, bass, and keyboards. I go through all three different instruments. And he was like, I've never seen someone be so weird and crazy on keyboards before. I think Till needs you. Like, we need a keyboardist. We need you. I was like, if I have to. So took the gig. And the first gig I ever played with him was that festival in Mexico, co-headlining with Pantera. I know, insane. I feel like it really goes from 0 to 80 in like it just happens. 1 second. And once it happens, you're like, all right, now you got to keep it going. But you do have somewhat of a little bit of a relief, like, oh, okay, I can pay some of my bills. All right.
Right. Totally. How did that segue then into the Demi Lovato Guitarist gig? Because that's epic as well. Like 2 epic gigs, one person. What? Who are you?
Thank you. That one is completely unrelated people whatsoever. I was on Warped Tour with another band, and the bass player of that band, also the band's called Sheer Girl, and the bass player of the band is now the MD for Demi Lovato and the bass player for Demi Lovato. Her name's Leanne Bose. She's an amazing bass player. She's about to go tour with a bunch of crazy people. I don't think I can announce it yet, but just know she's playing stadiums and she's freaking amazing. Wow. I love her. Yeah. And Nita Strauss was playing guitar for Demi at the time. And then she went back to go play with Alice because he had a bunch of tours lined up. You know how it is. People bounce around gigs. Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh my God, scrambling to find a lead guitarist that's a woman because Demi wants an all-girl band, and one that plays rock and one that plays leads. It's very specific, like what she needed. And she was like, oh my God, Constance. So she hit me up and I auditioned with a bunch of other people. But I was actually on tour with Aesthetic Perfection at the time. And I was in Berlin in my hotel room. She was like, can you send us an audition video since you can't be here to audition? And I'm like, here I am in my hotel room trying to like record it. Like I had my parents flew out and visited me on tour in Europe and brought me my interface and my Gibson Les Paul so I could record like a rock kind of vibe. And then I was with Jackson at the time, but it is what it is. And I was just so freaked out and excited at the same time because I'd never played pop before. And even though she's rock music now, it's still pop star. And I've never played for pop stars before. I've only ever played in rock bands and played, punk tours, metal tours. Like, this was a whole new world for me. And after many months of nervousness and not hearing back, all of a sudden, 2 months later, I got the call that was like, you're the new guitar player for Demi. And I was like, I can't believe this, because I for sure was like, I don't have it. It's been 2 months, Yeah. And then lo and behold, you never know. So if you audition for something, you don't hear back for a while, doesn't mean anything. Musicians, they always put everything off.
Yes. But that's really cool. Like, what? So I guess, okay, you're leading me into it's like we've rehearsed this because you're just setting up the next thing. It's amazing. In learning material for, now you're in Demi Lovato's band. She gives you X amount of tunes to learn. Like, what's your practice regimen? How do you absorb and retain very specific things for very specific, different types of music?
It's just memorization and lots of practice. For me, like, there is no easy way about it. Like, I'm not a virtuoso. I have to practice hours every day to remember everything and to keep it, maintained. And I think that's something also people don't realize, is that I may be playing and I may be getting paid while I'm traveling. I may be getting paid while I'm the show days or whatever, or off days on tour, but no one pays you to practice at home. And that's your own dedication you have to put in, and your own discipline, I guess. Discipline's a good word for it, because if you don't, I'm going to embarrass myself on stage. And so learning all the music and everything, it's easy to keep the Till gig different from my Demi gig, because for Till I play keyboards. Right. So my brain is like keyboard mode on that one. And for Demi, it's just learning every solo, learning everything, and a lot of singers like to stay in the same key. So you have to be like, this is a very similar chord progression, except for one chord is different. And I don't want to mess that up, and I just practice lots and lots and lots. I'm sure your students are like, dang it when they hear
Right.
this, but
There's no
lots of
secret.
practice. There is no secret. It's literally practice.
Right. When you're doing the demi songs, do you have freedom to stretch out in the solos, or was it you had to do it?
It depends on the song. A few of them I had the freedom to be able to do whatever I wanted and make my own up, because there were some where Anita made her own up. And I was like, was this written or was this already hers? And like one of the songs we play, Sorry Not Sorry, which is a big song. And she re-released the song with Slash playing on it. So instantly I always had my own solo in that song. And as soon as it dropped, I went, I gotta learn a Slash solo, don't I? Just the brain. I was like, oh, fuck. But that was like one of the instances where I actually had to learn a solo and do that. But a lot of them I got to write my own, because it was more of a clean slate of her going from pop to rock, And even though Nita was already playing on it, a lot of the leads I got to kind of make my own. I still kept it the same vein, obviously. I don't want it to be too much of a shock for listeners to be like, hell was that? But when people give me creative freedom, I kind of like to stretch out on it.
That's good. No, that's exciting. I mean, it's I'll say it to a lot of the people, I played in wedding bands and cover bands and things like that, aside from original stuff. And I always think when there's a solo that I can make my own, now I'm taking a song that's not my own and I'm putting my fingerprint on it, that it's like, okay, there's Rob in there.
Exactly. And to your students that need to hear this, improving is so important on guitar, because even as you think it's a pop thing, everything's lined up perfectly. It is, but it isn't. Even the end of the set, every time when I play with Demi, we have an ad lib at the end of the set where she says her thank yous and her goodbyes and she walks around the stage. We don't know how long it's going to take her every time. Sometimes it takes her more time, sometimes it takes her less. Well, while that's going on, I am playing a solo and the drummer's going and the bass player's going, and we're doing all that while she's saying goodbye. It could be 8 bars, it could be 32 bars, it could be anything. So that's why improving and knowing your scales and practicing is so important. I have to do that every night. And you got to improv in front of, we played the Town Festival, which is the same people that run Rock in Rio. It's just in Sao Paulo.
Wow.
And that was also like 150,000 people. And that was my first time playing guitar in front of 150,000 people.
Wow.
Aside from, we played on TV a bunch, but that's also scary. We played on live TV. That was a lot for me. We played a whole set on the news on 4th of July. And I was like, this is terrifying. But afterwards, you're like, okay, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's okay.
That's awesome. No, and thank you for being upfront and honest about you have to do the work, because I think that's something everyone's looking for, a shortcut. And I feel like
There's
music
none.
and fitness are two things in life where you can't buy it. You just got to do it. You got to do the work.
Exactly. Which also go hand in hand for stage. You need to stay fit and you need to work out. Doesn't mean you need to look a certain way. It means you need to have your cardio up so you can run around and have the craziest show of your life.
Exactly. Absolutely. So jumping off from those two things, what would be, aside from that, which is tremendous, someone starting out in the industry, they're trying to get to a point where they're playing with a national act or regional act or something where they're going to be, out of their little town and actually take this to the next level. Two-part question. What advice would you give someone in general? And then, not to make it this way, but 60% of our students are females.
Mm-hmm.
What extra layer of advice would you give to a young girl trying to get into this world?
First of all, I love to hear that, because when I was doing music, I just want to let you know, I was the only woman in my graduating class for the guitar program at Musicians Institute. Yes, I was the only woman that walked in the guitar program when I graduated. And it's really great to hear that there's 60% are women, because I just love to hear that. I'm very much in support of that, because it's really hard for us to get jobs here and there, because a lot of times it's either all girl band or we're looking for a woman, not we're looking for a musician.
Right.
So anyways, complete side note. I say, if you want to become a professional musician and you want to be able to tour and make a living from it, again, a lot of practice, keep your skill up. That's a huge one. It really is, because you want to be able to be prepared for something you're completely unprepared for. I know that sounds insane, but if you're practiced up and you know what you're doing, people know that, and people take note of that, and that word travels fast. Meet people, talk to people, make sure, I know it sounds, again, I hate it, put yourself out there, post a guitar video. Don't be scared. Like, do it. Even if you're like, I'm nervous, I'm not that good. It doesn't matter if it's a simple riff, if you're playing 3 chords. Put yourself out there. Let people know what you do, because people don't even know. You have to tell them, and no one's going to just be looking for you. You have to put yourself out there and let people know you exist. That's one of the main things if you want to be a touring musician, is meeting people, letting them know, hey, I'm a guitarist. Hey, I'm a singer. I'm a bass player. I'm a drummer. I'm play glockenspiel, whatever you do. You have to let people know. No one's going to be looking for you. I know it's sad. You think you're going to be playing at a little club and people are going to be like, you're famous now.
Right.
Not like that. But someone might have gone to that club that saw you play. Tell another person who tells another person who all of a sudden needs a bass player. And there's your job.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's no easy way into it. Like you said, get your skill level up. And even while you're doing it, still just get out there.
Very cool.
Sounds, yeah, you know, like do an open mic, post a video.
Yeah. I loved it. I feel like when I started playing, if social media existed the way it existed now, it may have been intimidating to me. So I try and always say to people, you have a choice. You could be intimidated or you can be inspired. If someone's doing something you feel like you can't do, don't be like, oh man, I'll never do that. Look at it and try and do something your own that's comparable or different or completely, whatever it is. Just let it. I love scrolling and be like, what is that guy doing? You know, he's 13. I could be his dad. Wow. Okay. Better practice more.
Oh, same. You know, I'll see people tag me in videos all the time of like teenagers or whatever in bands playing. And I'm like, it brings me back, because obviously I couldn't just like record I didn't have a studio. I couldn't record a song when I was 14. Like, these 14-year-olds can record a song now. They can literally just have GarageBand on the computer, get like a cheap Scarlett interface and just record a song. And it sounds pretty good, you know? And we didn't have that. Take that to your advantage, guys. Like, I don't think you understand. I wish I could have released songs at that age. Yep. Just even if you're like, it's not the best, release it. Who cares? Because you can always take it down later. Not that you can erase things off the internet, but
it's also documenting the process. Because if the third song is way better than the first song, people like to see that trajectory of, you know, improvement.
Exactly. And even if the quality's not that good, people are going to hear you. People are going to hear your writing. And honestly, there's many songs when I go back and listen to them that are even like 5 years old that I go, geez, the quality of the song's not good, but it still slaps. Everyone still loves it, you know?
Yeah.
It's just about getting out there and pushing it and letting people know you exist and not being afraid, because that's the first jump, because you're afraid to show people, you know, and it's scary. It's your voice. Your instrument is your voice. And it's scary, especially there's a lot of players out there. Every time I see Tim play guitar, I want to jump off a bridge. It's okay. I can't play with him. It's fine. It's cool. But I do take what he plays and like put it in my brain and go, I gotta go practice now. Not that I'm going to play Polyphia at any point in time, but
yeah,
that's not a gig. If there's like Polyphia needs another guitar player, guess what? I'm not auditioning for that one. Sorry.
I think it's absolutely hysterical that that's exactly who I was referencing and I didn't say it and you were right there with me.
You knew, because every guitarist sees his videos and they're like, he's so good. I want to jump off a bridge.
When you said Tim, I got goosebumps. I was like, she knows. How does she know?
I said Tim, you were like,
right. Yeah. Damn it. That's awesome. Go on.
Second part of what was the second part? I'm sorry. So
specific to young girls in the industry, because I think there's a whole layer of male driven bullshit that disgusts me, and I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, just I'll be honest, even though it's not the truth we want to hear, I will just say it. It is very difficult being a woman in the music industry. I'm sure that's probably a given. People all the time are saying, oh, you have opportunities because you're an attractive woman, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. You got that gig because you're a girl. They only like you because you're a girl, blah, 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 blah. I've heard it, everything I could possibly hear. And my looks have nothing to do with my playing, period. My looks have to do with my looks. I take care of myself. And this is how I like to look. It doesn't mean you have to be a lipstick girl with, makeup on and stuff. You can look however you want to look. First of all, you can be whatever you want to be, and don't think you have to be in this, she looks like a Barbie, I have to look like, no, that's not, you don't need to worry about your looks. You need to worry about your playing. You need to worry about your practicing. You can look cool. Cool is always cool, right? That you don't have to fit in a box. That's the number one thing. Because every woman, I feel like in the music industry, is fighting each other to be like, who's the prettiest, who looks the best on stage. No, it does not matter. It does not matter whatsoever. That's just with us women in there. That is not even a big thing. When it comes to a lot of the predators in the industry, that's a big thing you have to look out for, because the amount of times I've been invited to a studio, or I've been invited to, oh, come over and jam, or maybe I would like you in this project. And then you get there and it's ulterior motives, and these are big people in the industry. These aren't this random dude I met in a coffee shop. Like, these are people that are like working with big people, and then you show up and they're being quite forward, and you were going there in a complete business mindset, right? That's something you really have to look out for, and the way of navigating, how do I not offend people when they are trying to come on to me? But also, I'm a professional. I'm a musician. I'm not here for that. I'm not your plaything, right? And that's a whole navigation us women have to go through in the music industry. And just staying strong and being like, thank you, I'm flattered. No, thank you, I'm here for work. And having to be strong and having to say that is really tough, but you can do it. You can do it. And even if you burn a bridge along the way, you have to remember it does not matter, because that guy's burnt, I'm sure, a lot of bridges with a lot of other people. So gotta just be strong. It's really rough. But we all understand. All of us girls out here, we know what it's like. I literally was talking about this on a podcast with the other members with Demi's band. We've all been through the same thing. We feel you. And it's going to happen, but you got to just push it out of your brain and be like, that's one schmuck I don't need in my life. I can keep going on. There are millions of people in the industry.
Thank you. Thank you for the honesty and all of that, because it's gross. I know it's gross. And I have a sister and 3 younger cousins. I've always had females in my bands. I am disgustingly overprotective, and it's not fair. And just be strong, dude. That's awesome. Thank you for that. That's great. I asked that question to Nita Strauss also in a similar response. So that's awesome, dude. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sure she's experienced that a lot too.
Yeah.
We all have.
It's bullshit. The world is stupid, but keep rocking. Your looks is not your playing. I like that. That was really good. All right. So now something heavy. We'll go to something light. We're going to do the rapid fire questions. Okay.
All right.
Alrighty. So I'm going to recap for you. It'll be a series of this or that questions. The answer to most is both, but that's not an acceptable answer. So you have to pick one. You don't have to justify your answer. You can if you want. I will not debate you except for one, but hopefully you'll answer the one that I think is the right answer, and then I don't have to be obnoxious. So it's all good. All right. Ready?
All right. Yes.
Humbucker or a single coil?
Humbucker, because I'm not a hipster.
Great answer. Les Paul style guitar or Strat style guitar?
Strat style as of now.
Okay. Traditional Strat with the trem or hardtail or Floyd?
Hardtail, even though I have a ton of Floyd Roses.
But like, side note, a friend of mine is a big Jackson fan, and he was like, dude, her guitars are incredible. I was like, yeah, she has a cool collection.
I want more.
Yeah.
Jackson.
They're listening. I was going to throw that in there.
They're like, yeah, whatever you want. Shut up.
22 frets or 24 frets?
24 frets, because less is not always more.
I like it. For your guitar pick, thin, medium, heavy, extra heavy?
Jazz 3s, as thick as possible.
Cool. All right. Great answer. String gauges, 9s, 10s, 11s?
Depends on the tuning. If I'm in standard, 10.
Okay. If you were to grab a bass, a P bass or a jazz bass?
P bass.
Okay. That's a fair answer. That's like the most recorded bass sound ever. For your fretboard, maple or rosewood?
Ooh, I like the look of rosewood better, but a lot of mine are maple.
Okay. Cool.
Actually, I think it's half and half now. I'm looking. Sorry, go ahead.
The answer is both. It's totally okay. If you're to grab an acoustic, not trying to be brand specific, but like vintage Martin kind of thing, or more modern, like Taylor type thing, or something.
Definitely like a Martin. Definitely like a Martin. I got a Martin just sitting right there. I love Martins. I know it looks like I'm looking, there's like no guitars like in this except for my one crappy bass, but there's like a whole stand here. There's guitars everywhere, I
I
promise.
believe you. It's okay. When I
I'm
crop
not faking them.
when I crop this to air, it like zooms in our faces and all the beautiful guitars behind me, they disappear.
Oh, it's
Like,
such a beautiful
I know,
display
dude. I
too.
gotta figure out a way to like. I don't know. This is like a newer space that I'm recording this stuff in, so it's whatever. I'm working out the kinks. Anyway, I digress. When you're using gain, do you prefer the gain to come from the amp, like a dual rectifier kind of thing, or like a clean amp pushed with a pedal?
I like it coming from the amp. If it doesn't come from the amp, it's not good enough.
That's a great answer. Also, you're on fire. Okay. What do you prefer, like a tube amp or like a digital? Because I know digital is sometimes easier, but
I know I can't say both. I prefer an amp, but in this day and age, I only use digital.
are you fractal, Kemper?
Kemper.
Kemper, cool. Okay. Have you seen the new little one they have? That little tiny pedal that the I don't remember.
Yeah, they brought it. Kemper actually came and brought it to us on tour with Till Lindemann because Till Lindemann also all the guitarists use Kemper, and they went and brought it to us, and they had like the girls like take photos with it and stuff. It's pretty cool.
It's all. It sounds. I mean, it's just the footprint. It goes inside the case. It's unbelievable.
Oh, it's stupid tiny and it's great.
Okay, sorry. ADD.
All good.
Um,
Same.
For your tube amp, would you prefer 606 or EL34 tubes, or do you not care? Okay to not care.
I don't think I care.
Okay. When I was younger, I thought I could tell the difference. I don't know if I really can now.
I if you can tell the difference, you have too much time on your hands.
Wonderful. Beautiful. Um, let's go into effects. Delay or reverb?
Delay.
Okay. If you were using some sort of drive pedal, would you want like a fuzz pedal or like an overdrive pedal?
Overdrive for sure. Fuzz, again, I'm not a hipster.
Yeah, dude. Beautiful. Phaser or chorus?
Ooh, that's a good question because it depends on what I'm playing.
Mhm.
Oh, I think phaser because I think it sounds cooler when you do leads.
That was the one that I have an opinion on. You got it right. We're friends.
Right. Woohoo!
A wah pedal or a whammy pedal?
Oh,
So
that's
different,
also,
I know.
are you kidding me? They're so different. Because I use both, especially with Demi, I use both all the time. Uh, I'm sorry, Tom. I'm sorry, Tom Morello. I'm gonna say wah pedal.
Okay.
Although
Okay.
he uses wahs all the time too. So,
Yeah, it's funny though. Whenever we think whammy, we go right to Tom Morello. But yeah,
but all the songs have whammy and wah on them. So
yeah.
I guess.
They're horrible questions. They shouldn't. It's going to get harder. Okay.
Oh shit. Okay.
Because now it's like musical preference ones. Beatles or Stones?
Stones for the energy, but Beatles for the melody. So I guess Beatles.
Okay. John or Paul?
John.
Okay. Bowie or Dylan?
Bowie.
Right answer. Zeppelin or Floyd?
Zeppelin.
Okay. If you were to go with Pink Floyd, would it be Dark Side or The Wall?
The Wall.
Okay, I like that. It's my answer there too. And then my only random, more modern question, because I seem to cap off this stuff at like 1992, but Pearl Jam or Nirvana?
Ooh. Oh, because Pearl Jam's so much more tasty.
Yeah.
But Nirvana to me, the melodies, again, I have to go with Nirvana because of the melodies. They're simple, but they're so stuck in my head, I can't get rid of them.
That's a great answer. And then the last question, Sammy Hagar or David Lee Roth?
Oh, come on. Oh, okay. Sammy's a better singer, but you know what I'm going to say? David Lee Roth, all the way.
Yeah.
All the way.
Yep.
Those little whistle notes he does at the top. Perfect.
It's like an alien. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Is there anything coming up that we want to tell the world about?
We just announced with Till we are co-headlining with Slayer at 2 different festivals in America this year. Our first time playing in America with Till, so really excited about that. And one of them's Aftershock, so pretty rad.
That's amazing. With Slayer's back, which is just mind blowing. So very cool. Look, you get to play when Slayer comes back, when Pantera comes back.
I don't know how we keep getting these really cool co-headlining spots with them. I mean, I guess, Till's a big artist and we're a big up and coming band right now, but I feel still like I am the little girl playing guitar in her bedroom with my little tiny Fender amp, my little first you know? And I can't even wrap my brain around that I'm playing these, but it's okay.
Hard work pays off. I wish you nothing but success. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for the interview. This was so much fun.
Awesome.
I hope this helped you guys, or any especially girls out there that are watching this.